Okay, so new project, and then save all, and let's save it to where we saved our database, 11x, friend book. I'm going to call this friend u. Okay.
So you say you're creating a form and then saving.
Just creating a normal program to use now in the project. Call that friend p. Okay, so we have a normal project there. Okay, so step one is just creating a new project. And then we're going to add a data module. The steps in this book are based on Delphi 2010, so it's not quite the same as this one. Okay, so I'm recording this session to upload, so as you can see, remember the steps to do this, but it's not quite the same as here. Here they say go to the project manager. The project manager is here. And if you do it this way, you're going to have problems, so you must do it a different way. Okay, to get a data module, okay, what we like to do is keep our database connection components in a separate module. So you can go File, New, and you select Other. File, New, Other. And let's see what's here. Click on Database, and the Delphi, there's your data module. So double click the data module, and this is your data module. So any database connection components we'll put on the data module. So that was File, New, Other. File, New, Other. Then you choose Database, then Data Module. Okay, we're good. Okay, the first thing we need to do is create a connection to the database itself. And that's called an ADO connection. So you can search ADO con, you'll see here, ADO connection. We need to put one of those on. So put an ADO connection on and keep it to the left. Okay, the next one we need is our ADO table. So search ADO table, put one of those on. Put that just to the right of the connection. And then we're going to need a data source. So search for data source and put that onto the right of the ADO table. The ADO connection, let's change its name to normally start with con for connection. I'll call it con friend book. So con friend book, we change the name of the table. Tables, we start with TBL, the same as we did in the database. So TBL friends, because that's going to be the friends table. And data source, you start with DSR, and this is going to connect to the friends table, so DSR friends. And we must also rename this data module, so click on the data module, change its name to DM, and we can call it friend book, FRIND, something like that, DM friend book. And then we need to save all of this. So let's click save all again, and it should take you to your folder where you're working from. And let's call this, I'm going to call it DM FRIND friend book, and I'm going to call it, I'm just going to add module at the end, or else it's too similar to the name of the, you don't want it to be exactly the same name as this, that'll create confusion. So you make it something slightly different. You can even put a U at the end, so you know it's referring to the unit. And save that. Okay, so we've named all of our components. All right, let's go back to creating the connections now. We've created names that make sense. Now with the connection friend book, if you double click this thing, you can either double click it or you can go to connection string and click the ellipses. It's quicker to just double click on friend book. It opens your connection string. Here you click build, Microsoft Jet 4 OllyDB provider. This is the driver for the MDB databases. Okay, this 12 one or 16, that's for the new database, which can sometimes cause trouble for us. So we're going to select 4. We go next. And here where it says select or enter a database name, click on the ellipses. It should open the folder where your program is. Select your friend book MDB, say open, and if you say test connection, it should work. Okay. Once you've done that, with the MDB databases, you can now delete this path, and it will hopefully, with Delphi 7 it worked well, you could delete the path, and because this database is in the same path as your exe file, your program, it will automatically still find it. Okay. Right, so looking at this connection, let's see if there's anything else we can change. We've got that there. Login prompt, this must be false. Or else it's going to ask you to log in all the time. So make that false. Important to remember that step. We can say connected true. Okay, so we changed the login prompt to false, the connection to true, and that's sorted for the time being. All right, so at this point we've got this connected friend book. Table friends, this needs to connect to this. So this connection here, this is what connects externally to the database on the hard drive. If we've got tables we want to get from the database, we use this 80 table. So this table needs to connect to the database. So from 80 tables, we're going to go to the connection. We're going to connect to friend book. Okay, so it's connecting to the left here. We ignore the connection string. We do nothing there. And then we scroll down to the table name. Here we select which table we want from that database. There's only one table in there, so we select table friends. And then if we say active true, if nothing goes wrong, then that's worked fine. Okay, so those are the 3 steps there. And the data source, its only job is to connect to, what do you think? It has to connect to the table friends. So its data set will just look at table friends. And those are all the steps you need to save all. Those are all the steps you need to actually set up the link to your database. Now this data module is linked to your database with no problems. Okay, now to check that everything's working, go to the main unit. We're going to put a DB grid on. So search DB, GR. Put this DB grid on the form. I'm going to make it bigger. And now all we have to do is link this DB grid to the data module. This data source here. This data source, its purpose is to link this table to an object. Okay, because none of these things actually link to real objects in Delphi. So this is what we use to link to other units and other objects. Okay, so we've got the DB grid. In order to use this data module, this unit needs to know it exists. So we're going to have to add it here, comma, and add DM friend book. DM friend book module, whatever you've called yours. Okay, it's this name here. So I'm adding DM friend book module. I'm just going to run mine and see if everything works. Okay, I've got a problem here. Okay, if you see, look here guys, look at this. If you see this error, it's because what's happened is Delphi 10.4 has created a Win32 folder and a debug folder, and that's where it's running your Delphi project to. And this is where it's looking for the database now. So if you see that, okay, what you've got to do is, there's my program, it couldn't find the database. Just watch quickly. I go open, and I go, it's just a quick way to copy stuff, any file, find my database, and I'm going to copy it. So at least I have a backup here. Go to 132, go to debug, and paste it there, because it's looking for this where it's creating this. So now they're in the same place, cancel. Now if I run it, it should run without that error, and there, no more error, so it ran. So the last step, then I'll help you again, is to, once you've added your DMU, this one here, this data, this DB grid needs to connect to that data source. So look for the data source. It's in DM friend book, data source friend, and there you can see I only created one item in this one. Now if you save all, you've created a successful link between Delphi and a table in a database. Okay.